Hi everybody, I'm Jerry Wise and I am the director and founder of the Jerry Wise Relationship Systems, and I'm a marriage and family expert and a self-coach, and this video is entitled How to Become the Real You in a Relationship. And there's some steps to doing some of that, what I've called self-differentiation, or what we call self-differentiation work. And I'd like to give you some of those steps today that might be of help to you in changing how you function in your relationship systems. Spouse, friends, work, co-workers, boss, family of origin, and how you can really begin to change you and how you function. I have clients often wanting guidance for how they can change their relationship with their family of origin and how they function in that family of origin and also with others. And here are some general steps to help you think through the process of becoming more self-differentiated in a relationship. Now, these don't represent the entire process. That would take more discussion than what I can do on this video, but at least it's a beginning to kind of give you a flavor of what you should be thinking about and what you could do, and maybe be some helps to you in making those changes. First of all, look at how you're functioning in the relationship currently. For example, a narcissistic mother moves close to her son and his wife and his child. The mother is intrusive, needy, self-absorbed, kind of controlling, maybe even demanding. And the functioning is mom is needy and controlling, and then the son complies out of fear of guilt or emotional reprisals, could even be financial reprisals. And this creates a conflict with his wife and his own functioning in the nuclear family, meaning his wife, his child, and him. Mom wants what she wants, and the son complies codependently. In other words, and the son must call and see mom several times a week and take his family over to see mom. Mom comes over for the weekends, and the wife is complaining about not having family time. Mom's kind of difficult to deal with. She's kind of unhappy with things, and it really causes a conflict and problem for the son and his family, while mom's getting what she wants and she needs. So we have to explore our functioning in the relationship and need to learn about how is this working? What's the pattern that's going on here? Second of all, explore and reflect on how you would like to function within this relationship with, say, a self-absorbed mother. Explore this as though nothing or no one matters to you at all. In other words, no one matters but you. Be very, very selfish or self-focused. Now, we're not teaching selfishness, but we're teaching self-awareness and better self-definition is what we want to learn. And pretend as though mom would be fine with it and your wife would be fine with it. Everybody would be fine with it. What do you want to do with your relationship with your mom, let's say? And for example, my ideal, and I'm going to pretend as though I'm the son, my ideal would be to call once per week and visit mom twice per month. And that would be if no one would be upset about anything. That's what I would like to do. And again, explore that apart from any other people's feelings or beliefs at this point, so you can define yourself, so you can begin to bring yourself to the relationship. You first have to know, what do you want? How do you want to function in this relationship? So that's a second step. A third step would be to discover and explore the downsides for the new you or implementing this plan. For example, if I stated to mom that I would like to change our frequency of contacts or set boundaries in some way, and set boundaries with mom, and choosing my wife or family over mom. which we always need to do. Once we leave home and we have a new established home, our new established home takes precedence over any family of origin. If it doesn't, then that's going to be what one author calls a love buster. In other words, if you don't choose your own family or choose your own wife over anyone else, then you're going to have trouble, and romantic love, the relationship, is going to begin to deteriorate. That's just a law of married life and family systems. Now, if you do those things, and if you decide, I'm going to press this plan and I'm going to implement it, mom will act and feel like a victim. She'll be needy. She'll probably guilt trip. There'll be nonverbals that will indicate she's unhappy, or she will get mad or stop helping us financially. Many of the downsides need to be examined, and we need to be very realistic and very self-defined about these downsides. Also, I will have to give up my fantasies of having an ideal mother who cares about me and accepts me and all my boundaries, which I've always wanted. Mom will also be sending, as a downside to this change, flying monkeys to me to change my mind or to complain to other siblings about my selfish behavior or my selfish choices. So she might bring the family to bear on the choices I want to make to self-differentiate. Fourthly, resolve, prepare, accept the downsides blocking you, which keep you in your current functioning, because it is these downsides that keeps us functioning poorly in the relationship and causing these problems. Resolve, plan, and accept the possible downsides and how you can live in spite of these downsides. Give up your fantasies, your naivety, and your hope for the ideal parent. Work to let go of the fantasies. For example, I'm not ready to give up my desire to have a mom who accepts and loves me in the way I've always wanted. We may need to use paradoxical acceptance to try to help us get connected with ourselves so we can begin to let go of that. Because if we don't, then we'll be stuck in, I want mom to be a certain way, in this example I'm using, and I hope for her to be the mom I've always wanted, but I don't want to give that up. And if I don't want to give that up, I'm going to stay codependent and seeking approval and acceptance from mom, and it will be very hard to set boundaries because we're still trying to change mom. We're not focusing on ourselves. This helps us help us give up accepting how we think and feel, which is very important. We have to accept right where we're at right now. Work out financial arrangements so you don't need mom's money. Talk with siblings about your changes you're implementing with mom to head off triangles or flying monkeys. In other words, talking to siblings and say, hey, I'm going to be making a change, and if you hear complaints or whatever from mom, I just want you to know what that's about. And again, we're acting our age. Rather than our young, immature, little age that we have inside, we're going to act the mature age. I'm going to act like the 63-year-old Jerry, not the 15-year-old Jerry. And so a 63-year-old Jerry would go and talk to people, talk to mom, talk to the siblings in a calm, mature way. Fifthly, resolve and heal family of origin issues which created the pattern and imprinted the blocks to being yourself. Deal with the pain of abandonment, rejection, trauma bond, all those things that happen when we've grown up in a dysfunctional family. And these create this enmeshment and the need for mom as a child in the first place that continues on into our adulthood. Resolve hurts, intergenerational intimidation, which is very common, fear, rejection, the illusions of love, control by guilt, and the loss of self-love that we grew up learning to not care about ourselves, not accepting ourselves, not realizing we're finite or limited in what we can do and what we want to do, because those things were not valued, let's say, when we were growing up. Well, that just continues on into adulthood. So it was survival for me when I was 10 years old, but it's not necessarily survival for me at 63 years old or 55 years old or 40 years old. We just believe it's survival for that. And so that continues on. And that's kind of the neurotic us. It's kind of what we've carried over from the past and we haven't resolved. And it keeps us codependent. It keeps us unable to self-differentiate. Sixthly, forgive yourself and be developmental with yourself. As adult children of abuse, alcoholism, alcoholics, adult children of narcissists, any kind of adult child problems that we have had, we tend to judge our performance or functioning with a perfectionistic lens. In other words, I got to do this perfectly. Always think developmentally. I am evolving, progressing, doing it better and better, not perfectly. We are very young inside us. Our self-differentiation level is low. We've been abused, traumatized, hurt, abandoned, or rejected growing up. Understand, love, and accept yourself and where you are at. Giving yourself a break. Even accepting your immaturity is very important. You are learning, growing, trying to do better, working to change your functioning. Maybe you're a survivor of trauma growing up when you were a child. So remember, this is part of the baggage and part of what comes with you. Give yourself a break. You didn't cause that, but remember that's a part of how you work on the inside. Celebrate your willingness to work on change and your search for insight and knowledge about yourself. It is a search. It is a journey. It's not just a one-time event. The more you do these things, the easier it will become, and the more you will begin to transform the imprinting that you had when you were growing up as a child. Seventh, start where you are and move forward. Make amends. Take responsibility for your own functioning in the relationship system. Realize you have played your part in the dysfunctional pattern with mom, even if it's due to codependency or intergenerational intimidation or bullying, whatever the reason, take responsibility for your part. As in my example, sharing with mom that you have not been open with her about how you have felt and that you apologize for not being open with her. And that I have not shared with you what I really want or what I really like. I understand this is not, you wouldn't use this with a full-blown narcissistic personality disorder family members in terms of apologies and those kinds of things. You want to use that for folks who are dysfunctional, but not necessarily personality disordered. Because personality disorders are not going to feel very empathetic. However, even with them, we can still do that, even if they don't have empathy. Because I don't require empathy from a narcissistic person. I am my own self. You don't have to empathize with me. I'm telling you, I'm taking responsibility for my pattern and dysfunctional pattern, and this is what I'm going to be doing. So again, I think you could even do that with and I've seen people do it often, even with a narcissist or an alcoholic or a using alcoholic parent. You can still take responsibility. Hey, I haven't been the most upfront with you, but now I'm going to be. So we're putting them on notice. Eighth, announce the change. Give notice of the change that will be happening. I gave my family prayer in my own family as an example, where I let mom know ahead of time what I like or don't like and what I'm going to be doing regarding the family prayer, because it fell on me to do it and I didn't want to do it. every time and just have everyone turn to me and I'm supposed to do that. I didn't want to. Didn't mean I would never do it, but I don't want to, that's not a role I wanted to continue. In this example with the mother I've talked about, the client would be letting his mother know what will be happening in the future calls, visits, and what not to expect and what to expect, because you've thought that out and become more self-defined. Again, I know where I end and you begin. How you will be functioning in the relationship in the future needs to be telegraphed to them, told, given notice. This is what you can expect. And again, the unspoken part is like it or not. Practice being non-reactive and non-defensive. Practice dealing with their responses and your responses to their reactivity. What are you going to do if they become reactive? What's your choices? You will feel stronger and more able to make these changes happen for yourself. And again, you're making these changes happen for you. You're not expecting them to like all these choices, because obviously they'd like it the old way. They want it to be the way it was. But we have to practice those responses because we'll feel more confident, we'll feel more a sense of self, and we'll feel stronger when we do that. And the more we do that, and the more we practice that, the stronger we will become as people and as mature adults, and more the 63-year-old Jerry rather than the 10-year-old Jerry. Ninth, follow through and keep your boundaries. Get support for your boundaries. A wife, a therapist, a coach, friend, pastor, recovery group, a sponsor. We all need support and help if we're going to go forward doing something good and to change ourselves. Because you're going to take some real heat in changing your functioning within a family of origin, or how you and your boss operate, or how you and your friend operates. Whenever we make those changes, many times they are not welcome. People like the way they were working before, even if it was an imposition on you or negative effects for you. If you have some problems keeping your boundaries and you just can't do it, it takes practice and practice and practice. And it can be accomplished. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Also, if you are depressed, have anxiety disorders, or CPTSD or PTSD, these might cause you some difficulty in keeping your boundaries. I would seek help for those particular problems. Adjust your boundaries or new functioning. In other words, this is what I want to do. These are my boundaries. It's okay to revisit those. Is this working? Is it not working? Maybe you're not okay with twice a week contact with mom. And maybe it should be once a week. Or the opposite, maybe it should be 3 times a week, and you would be okay with that. Flexibility is not the same thing as giving in and having no boundaries. I'm the one deciding what I want to do. And if I decide, okay, once a week, and then I decide, no, I think I could do twice and still maintain my sense of self, still keep my family intact, things would work, etc. It's okay to make those changes. But it has to be authentically what you want to do, not out of guilt, fear, shame, fear of rejection or abandonment, those kinds of reasons. You decide what type of relationship you want to have with your self-absorbed mother, in this instance, or overbearing boss, or friends who are in which you do all the giving and they do all the taking. You decide what kind of relationship do I want to have with them? Do I want to have with them? This is how I want to function with them. 10. Expect the stages of resistance. Whenever we make changes in our functioning in our relationship systems, marriage, boss, friends, family of origin, church, wherever there's a relationship system, expect to have the system resist your change. The system always wants it to go back to the way it was. In systems talk, we call this homeostasis, or to maintain the old equilibrium. We need it to eat, we need that balance. And actually our dysfunctional pattern is a part of that balance. Well, we're throwing the system out of balance when we're not going to function in the same way. And so remember, you're throwing the system out of balance when you do that. Now, you don't have to worry about how the system functions. That's up to them, but you need to be wise. You need to be knowledgeable and predict what's going to happen, and you can learn to predict because you see and have learned how systems work. And one of the systems lessons that I'm talking to you today is, if you make changes in a homeostatic or equilibrium system, which all are, if you're going to make a change to be a new self, it's going to try to reject you. It will try to get you to go back to the way you were. And that's basic biology. It's basic emotional psychology. It's all those things. Here are a few stages we need to prepare for to make the change stick and permanent. And here's some stages of resistance. You begin to announce, this is what I'm going to do. And then mom may ignore you, and ignore you even talked. You're invisible. I didn't even hear what changes you were going to make. And she just goes right on acting like she's always acted and just ignores your change. And then we are a broken record and remind mom, I don't think you remember what we had talked about, but I'm going to only be having contact with you once a week, and we're going to have family together twice a month. Not what we've been doing. Just wanted to remind you, care about you, but this is going to be the new change. The second stage is, I don't like this. And so mom now realizes you're much more serious. Well, now she's got to push back a little more. I don't like this. I don't know why you're pushing me out of your life, etc., etc., etc. And then as we continue in that route and say, I'm not pushing you out of your life. I'm trying to live my family's life and also include you as well. I'm not pushing you out. I am changing how we functioned. There are changes made there, and you need to have a life of your own, but this is the life I've got to live, and this is what I feel most comfortable doing. Then the next stage comes around. Stop this. You really need to stop making these changes. And then the recriminations can start to come out. Well, you're just being immature. You're being selfish. You're uncompassionate like you used to be. You used to be very compassionate. Now you're being, really, really uncompassionate. You're being uncaring, or you're not being a good Christian, or you're being disrespectful. You're not honoring your mother. And all kinds of recriminations can come out because you need to stop what you're doing. Because if a son really loved his mother, he'd let his mother do whatever and call all the time and come over all the time and have no boundaries at all. That's what a really good son would do in this example. No, that's not what a really good son would do. You have to deal with your guilt of her thinking you're not such a good son, but you realizing you are. It's just you need to live a life self-differentiated and taking care of your family. And then another stage is stop this or else. And again, that can be a very, very traumatic time and very difficult, and that's why we need support and practice. Mom then decides she's not going to help you financially. Mom tells everybody in the world how bad of a son you are. And what you're doing is so mean. And the other siblings are all being told by mom how you've been disrespectful and not caring and all those kinds of things. So it's really a stop this or else peak at the very climax of this resistance stages as it goes up. Now, the next stage is the most important if we can hang in there and stay self-differentiated. The last stage is a stage of some tolerance and acceptance. In other words, the anxiety comes down and it's like, I don't think we're going to be able to change you. Now, the family could, or mom could cut off from you. That could be a stop this or else. You're not cutting off from her. She's just cutting off from you. And I don't have to cut off from anyone. Someone else can cut off from me, but I have no control over that. I just have control whether I cut off or not. And at least if there's some health within the family or within mom, she then begins to, with uncomfortableness and with frustration, begins to accept the new you, because it's not going to change. So she wants a relationship with you. This is the you she gets. They realize that you're not going to change, and they realize they can't change you back. So now they have to deal with the new you. And then, if you wonder what to do next, repeat all the steps again. Changing the way you function in a relationship system requires seeing how the system works and how you work within the system, zooming out so we don't zoom in so closely, zooming out and looking at patterns, looking at roles, looking at what's at stake for everyone. What do they lose? What do you lose? What do they win? What do you win? Because you can do a lot of predictive things based on those kinds of questions. Planning how you will choose to function in a new way using a good map, template, and systems analysis. That's very important for making these changes. Thirdly, being able to predict others' responses and resistance can give you leverage using systems thinking. And I'll give you a couple books you can read about learning more about systems thinking. Planning how you will respond to the new resistance and not get caught up in what we call the observational blindness of enmeshment and having them trigger your emotional field or your emotional unconscious, your limbic lizard brain. That's what we want to do, is avoid that observational blindness. So many people go into situations or relationships and try to change the system and change themselves while having all kinds of observational blindness. They're only going to be walking through a minefield and get blown up in so many different ways. What I'm talking about is to avoid the mines and the minefield. And I think it's possible to do that. Not that you can't avoid their reactions, but you can avoid the minefield that will blow you up and get you back into enmeshment, confusion, fogginess, not clarity, not self-defined, get you thrown right back into that situation that you had before. Fifth, borrow others' objectivity. Use a self-expert to help you. Borrowing others' objectivity, because they're not caught in this web, they're not caught in this family system. So you can ask people, what do you think about mom calling me 8 times a week? We always have to see her every weekend. And then somebody goes, well, that doesn't seem like a very, that seems really intrusive. Excuse me. And way overbearing. I don't think I could do that. And now you're getting some, do you really think you want to do that with her? Well, no, I don't. And that's getting some objectivity from someone else. I loan my objectivity out to clients all the time because that helps them. Because the people I worked with and the therapists and the self-experts I worked with for years loaned me their objectivity. So I could begin to see. Get ongoing support groups, 12-step groups. Keep feeding your mind and emotions a systems approach and a systems perspective. Reading videos. I've got 150 videos out there that virtually all of them talking about a family systems approach, no matter what the topic is. You can read Jenny Brown, Growing Yourself Up, Brene Brown, Braving the Wilderness, Harriet Lerner's books, and Andrea Schara, S-C-H-A-R-A, book on Mindful Compass. All of those are family systems books. There are other authors as well. Learn more about self-differentiation. Our goal is to A, have a calm level of self, B, and a mature calm level of self, B, reach a healthy level of relative objectivity and neutrality, which is non-reactivity, and then C, become a more responsible I. Who am I? Where do I end and others begin? How do I come to have a more well-defined Jerry? If you don't have a well-defined you, you're going to get caught up in the glue in the relationship. And so we start with a better defined us so we don't get caught up in the glue. I know this is just an introduction to changing the self in a relationship system. I have much more to share and could share more with you. I hope you will watch future videos for more information about self-differentiation in your relationships. I've got a number of videos out there on Jerry Wise Relationship Systems YouTube channel. Go take a look at those. I hope you'll subscribe to Jerry Wise Relationship Systems channel on YouTube and also the Facebook under the same name. If you want to be on our mailing list, contact me at www.jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com and we can put you on the mailing list. I'm going to be sending out some email blast to everyone so they can stay in contact. Contact me if you'd like to become a client or you need help with becoming the real you. And I might mention, be sure to write your email correctly on the form that's on the website. Because if you don't, then we can't contact you. And if you don't put your phone number, there's no way we can reach you. And if the email address is wrong, then you won't be getting the email. So please be sure to fill that out carefully. I really want to thank you for watching today, and I hope you have a great day.